He's done at the kind of struggles and trials and tribulations of humanity.
Yeah.
Not just black people, of humanity.
Yeah.
And he's got a research team, 40 people who work on his research team. He has 40 people who do research on his team that are his staff.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he uncovers and is teaching us is really, it's amazing. It's amazing that there's somebody invested in humanity at that level. And Pastor, I had to call Pastor because, you know, I knew I was going to be in the studio, so I couldn't pick him up for the TV show.
Yeah.
So who was I going to trust to pick him up? Nobody but Pastor. So Pastor picked him up and brought him to the studio. And when I looked up, all three of us was like standing there. I said, "Well, Pastor, come on, join the show, man." He's like, "Okay." So, you know, but God, but God. The only reason that I'm in the position to have these experiences is because God took time.
Yes, He did.
Took time to save my life. When I was being gunned down like somebody who was in a war zone by drugs and alcohol. That was the effect that they had on my life. God decided that they wouldn't kill me, that I would continue to live, and then I would heal. And I would heal in a way that I keep saying I'm speechless and I can't shut up, but I'm speechless. I can't stop talking, but I'm truly speechless. So and what I want to say with regard to inspiration is that my biggest problem was my self-hatred and my low self-esteem, and how people looked at me and said things that some were kind, but some were nasty. Yeah. Some were sweet and loving, but some were downright mean and vicious and critical. Well, children can't always survive that stuff. Children don't have it in them at birth. And especially if you're living in a nation that is invested in making sure you don't know who you are at any time. We're in a country that burnt women at the stake because it was clear that women had leadership skills. The women were called witches and burnt at the stake. We're in a country that, we're in a fishbowl, really. And you know, the latest, Gregory shared this, the latest problems in all the way up the ladders of our government is organ stealing. There's a good chance that people, especially these young black men who are coming up dead unexpectedly without cause, there's a good chance if you open them back up, they don't have no hearts, they don't have no livers, they don't have no kidneys. A lot of times in the past when people said stuff like that, we thought they were paranoid, they were crazy, this and that. But we have lived to see. We have lived to see that we're living in the days and the times that we've not been prepared for. And so, you know, with regard to inspiration, no matter what's attacking you right now, whether it's health, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, sex, gambling, lack of finances, know that and Dick Gregory said this, if a force and a power could cause no two snowflakes to be the same, guess the intent he has for you. Guess the intent. Just try it. Try to figure out what God might be doing with you and through you and for you. If no two blades of grass can be the same, guess what? That's how powerful the love and the grace and the mercy of God is. And it's at work when I'm doing something, and my mama's doing something, and Cynthia's doing something, and Tika's doing something, and Pastor's doing something, everybody, we all doing something. Well, check this out. God is doing something too. At all times. And we can't limit the kind of love and power and the grace and mercy that He's going to move through us. We can't limit it. Even when we try, all we do is fall down and have to get back up. Fall down and have to get back up. So we finally say, okay, it ain't working. Let me just stop. And then the love and the grace and the mercy and the power moves through and does stretch us beyond our wildest dreams. So now I get to read my praise report, and stretch just brought me to this. So I want to say to my church family that I had no idea that I was going to need the kind of love and support that I needed with what my son has gone through. I couldn't know the future. So I didn't know that I was going to land in a position that I was going to be going to court day after day after day. And I didn't know that that I never would have made it through that if I had not been a member of 37th Street Baptist Church. I know I wouldn't have made it through that. It was one of those experiences that God didn't let me see how traumatic it was when I was in it, because I wouldn't have made it. But when I was on the other side, I was able to look back and see that I never would have been able to show up in that courtroom like I did every day that I did if my pastor hadn't been there with me, if Tika hadn't called everybody every morning and said, y'all get up, time to go to court, and if mothers hadn't prayed for me, prayed. Both the first day we went there, it was pouring down rain, and then Mother Bullock said, oh no, I'm going to be in court. I prayed, God, please don't let her come out of this rain. And I got there first, and when they came, I didn't see Mother. I've never been so happy in my life. And as much as I loved her, I did not want her out in that rain. And it was storming bad that day. It was storming bad that day. And I was relieved. I said, thank you, God. Mother's at home safe and sound where she needs to be. And I knew she was holding us up. I knew she was praying for us. Mother Thomas, I knew. Tell your son I'm praying for him. I love you. Tell your son I love him. Mother was one of the first women in this church that looked at me and said, you know, little girl, you make a lot of sense when you talk. Hey, when a mother tells you, you make a lot of sense when you talk. Don't make her shame. Don't make her shame. That means you keep doing what you're doing. That means you keep, whatever it is, you keep doing it. And I ain't gonna never make none of my mothers, none of y'all shame. Because I can walk a straight line today. 26 years ago, I might not have been able to, but I can do it today. But this has been in my car since I got it. I got it a couple of days ago, and I haven't even brought it in the house yet because I wanted to make sure that I brought it here first. But this is what Joseph, this is his first letter from Texas. This is what he said to me. It is better to be alone than in the wrong company. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the friends he chooses. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. These that don't increase you will eventually decrease. These that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Your friends will either stretch your vision or choke your dreams. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. Along the road of life, be careful where you stop for directions. Even in the most difficult moments, worship God. Painful moments, trust God. For every moment, thank God. Now, that's a boy who the San Francisco Federal Task Force spent, I know, over $1 million trying to rob him of his life. Trying to rob him of his life. And instead, God said, watch this. You got money to throw away like that? Well, watch what I can do. And I'm not fixing to spend it, but you're going to spend your money to send him to Texas. And when he gets there, I'm going to have what he needs waiting on him. So I have, and he sent me some pictures. I'm going to show y'all. I got to make some copies of it and send them back. But I wanted to read this to you because he even wouldn't have been thinking or feeling like this if we had not been in that courtroom. Because he wouldn't have had nothing to latch on to. He wouldn't. He said it. He said, Mama, you don't know. He said, many days I wanted to throw in the towel. I felt in my heart so much anguish. I felt like I couldn't make it. He said, but when I walked out to that courtroom and I saw you guys sitting there, I knew I could make it one more day.
Amen.
I could make it one more day. So they tell us the prayers of the righteous availeth much. I say we have no idea. We have no idea what that availeth much means. Those are words. We have no idea of what prayers will do and what they can do and the much that will be enhanced by our prayers.